Um, well, first of all, I'll just say a couple of words about my Azorean roots. My great-grandparents left from the town of Maya in, I believe it was 1903, so close to 108 years ago now, and came to America with three, I think, or four small children. My grandfather was born a little while later. They settled in Warren, Rhode Island, and started a small farm. And my grandfather worked a variety of jobs. I mean, my great-grandfather, including working with the railroad in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And they had a hard time. They struggled to make a living, and unfortunately, my great-grandmother lost many of her children to illness, and my grandfather told of how he lost his favorite sister to the Spanish flu when he was only 5 or 6 years old. So they had a hard life, but they worked hard, and when my grandfather was a young man, he had to quit school and go work in a factory. And I just feel so fortunate to have had the examples of my hardworking grandparents and my parents. My father on his side and my mother on her side were the first in their families to go to college, and that really made me appreciate my opportunities to have a good education. And so I worked hard in school and basically just did my best. I learned from an early age that I was just curious about everything. And although I wanted to be a fireman like my grandfather, I got so excited by just the world around me. My father was a paleontologist, and of course people forget about it, but in 1969, when I was 9 years old, men walked on the moon, and I knew I wanted to be a scientist. So I studied hard, went to college, Brown University, and got my bachelor's degree, and then went on to get a PhD at Harvard University. And then I did a postdoc, which is 4 more years of training, and finally got my own job at the University of Massachusetts Medical School, where I have been investigating the mechanisms of gene silencing and early development gene regulation for the last, what is it now, 16, 17, 18 years. My goodness, time flies. Anyway, our research now is still on the mechanism of RNA interference, but as you probably know, in 1998, my colleague and I, Andrew Fire, collaborated on a paper that was published in Nature describing a gene silencing phenomenon called RNA interference. That's the name that we gave it because we had no idea how it worked. So we had to come up with a new name for the gene silencing phenomenon. And we published that it was triggered by double-stranded RNA. And that discovery led to many new insights into how genes are regulated in not only humans, but animals, plants, fungi, and even bacteria. And perhaps one of the most amazing features of all life is that they share the same form of information. They speak the same language. Their genes are encoded using the same alphabet, if you will. And the mechanism that we discovered is like a search engine for sorting through that information and identifying the corresponding genes that match that information precisely. So it's very much like when you do a search on your computer, Google search, for example, you use a small piece of information and that is entered into the search engine of the cell. And so that's what we discovered, and it's now being used to explore gene function not only in humans but also in plants and animals, and it's hopefully going to be a therapeutic approach to help people who have diseases that involve misexpression of genes. So our current activities in the lab continue to be the investigation of this mechanism. We have a whole lot to learn still about how it works, and there are many fascinating discoveries, I'm sure, that are remain to be made. And so it's I just would encourage any young people or science, hopefully interested in science, to pursue science. Science is our way of knowing the world better so that we can predict the future and prepare for it, make this world a better place to live. And it's clear that we have many challenges ahead, so we need young Azorians and Portuguese and everyone from all over the world, from every walk of life and every nationality, to get together, work hard to solve these problems that face our civilization. My advice is follow your passion, do your best, work hard, seize every opportunity you get, and one other thing, collaborate, talk to each other about ideas. Don't be selfish and guard your ideas, because if you do, you won't be able to go as far as you do if you talk with others and share openly your ideas, because through that interaction, that's where the spark of insight comes from. So I would encourage you all to talk about your ideas, be fearless in sharing your ideas. Don't worry about asking a stupid question. There are no stupid questions.